Hello everybody, and welcome to Fossils and Archaeology. In the last episode, we ended up making a home, and we live inside of this wonderful parasaur skull. We also found our friend Dr. Bones, who was with us before we crashed here. And we're now set up here, and then along with that, we've also gotten a Triceratops egg, and that's going to be our main goal. Hey Dr. Bones, I plan on hatching the Triceratops egg. What do you think? That actually makes sense. All right. Well, I'll go do that first, and then we'll hatch the egg and we'll get our first dinosaur on here. All right. So we've been tested by Dr. Bones to make a stable food source for us and the Triceratops. And I mean, I have been growing potatoes, but I don't know if this would be a stable food source. And I wonder if there's a dino. There is. You need a fossil and a book. Do we have a book? No. Do we have a fossil? That is also a negative. Okay, that means we need some sugarcane, some leather, and some fossils. Whoa. We will explore that some other time. Then we just make a book, put our fossil there, and we have the Dinopedia. Now, what does this do? I'll look into that later. Time to do some research. All right, research completed. And from the looks of it, herbivores enjoy eating melons. So now we just gotta find, wait, hold on. Maybe I got melons from when I did sifting. Perfect. Okay, so now we just need to grow melons. And then that would be the food source for the Triceratops. Do we have more melons in here? Okay, we do. Okay, so now we have 5 melon seeds. And I think I want to grow food over this way. Oh, yeah, by the way, I streamed last Saturday and I made a villager breeder with the intent of making an iron farm, which we're going to have to make this episode because the blocks that I have planned for the enclosure are going to require a lot of iron, so it would be easier for me to make an iron farm. But that is for us to worry about later, because first we need an area dedicated to our melons. And I'm thinking maybe keeping it near the villager breeder and then building a hut here eventually will look good. So we're going to build this in and then maybe grow the melons here. So I went ahead and did some slight terraforming by just placing some dirt, filling in some holes, and I think I want to plant the melon seeds right here, which means I need to get water and I need to get my hoe wherever I left it. Now Dr. Bones was talking about us as well, but I think me and Dr. Bones will live well with that potato field over there. I think eventually we'll just move it over here. So all we gotta do is just plant our melon seeds like so, bone meal the stem, and now that we know what food to give our Triceratops, I now want to work on the iron farm so that we could get the materials for the enclosure, and then while we're working on the iron farm, we could also start expanding the melon farm. Oh, it grew. So let's go into a montage and start building the iron farm. 2 weeks later, or was it a week? I think it's 2. But we got an iron farm now. It works. Works really good. We got 12 in here. This stupid fall. And then over here we have 13 more. But of course we got some iron in here. My chests are a bit unorganized. But we now have iron to work on the Triceratops enclosure, which I've begun to lay out a general size of how big I think the enclosure should be, which we have right here in cobblestone. I'm thinking an entrance would go here, and then we'll do like a little observing deck here, and then have our Triceratops out here. And I had to do a lot of research to get this size and be okay with it. I basically did research on what animals are modern day equivalents to dinosaurs. So the Triceratops is a modern day equivalent to an African elephant. And then I went and found out what are the zoo standards for these enclosures, and then found out some other stuff. But because dinosaurs are bigger than our modern day counterparts, I had to upscale that. And then I also based it off of Jurassic World Evolutions 2's requirements, and that's what led us to this size. But now that we have the layout of the enclosure, I want to set up some walls to, you know, keep us safe and keep the dinosaurs safe inside, and that's going to require some oak wood, so let's go chop down some oak wood. Alright, now that we have a decent amount of oak wood, I want to start planning out where the pillars are gonna go. So if we go like here, for a corner, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4? Is that high enough? I think we'll go up one more just to be safe. And if we space it up between 4 and 5 blocks from each other, I feel like that will be a good gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the idea is there's going to be a door here, and the chains and fence gate's going to go around the whole entire perimeter. So now I have a general idea of how I'm going to space things apart. They're going to be normally 5, but when it comes to the corners and things like this, I think we're going to make some exceptions. So I'm going to go ahead and place the rest of these, and we'll be right back. Alright, we now have the wood spaced out all along the perimeter. I have an idea for that back wall there, which I want to try. We got a lot of cobblestone left over from the iron farm, and I'm wondering if I could just do this. There we go. How does that look? Yeah, I think this is what we're going to do. And I think I like that. We're going to have a flat back wall, and then... Whoa, pull. And then we're going to go ahead and chain all of this and make sure that it's all chained and maybe something else. I'm thinking if we use our tinkering workbench to make... We place these down as a base. Let's test it with 2 sections. And then if we make some chains and do that... Yeah. Alright, now we just gotta do that all the way around. So, be right back. Alright, we have all the perimeter set now, and of course it starts raining when I hit record. I'm liking how it's looking. I had to do some creative liberties as it was going up this slope, but I think I did it well. But it's done, and now we gotta move on to the juicy part. Dinosaurs. Not really, actually. We got a lot of holes to fill up, and... of course, the enclosure to build, because the Triceratops is not just going to be living in a plains biome. As I said, I did an extensive amount of research to get a nice looking enclosure for the Triceratops. So I think we should start by lighting these caves. Make sure no bad stuff spawn in here. Oh my gosh, this cave is crazy. Alright, well, I think it's time for us to just start filling up these holes to make them look pretty on the surface. So many random little ones, what the heck? Alright, now that we have the terrain leveled and holeless, it's time for us to do some terraforming around here in terms of just adding trees and maybe water river going from up there and then maybe ending down here at the low spot. But the idea is we'll have a foresty area on this side and then some plains, flatlands, and then a river and then another plains, flatlands over here maybe. So the river's going to kind of make a little 2 sections of the enclosure, but it's all for the Triceratops. Luckily, I've gone ahead and gathered some materials off camera so that I could just get straight to work and not have to go back and forth gathering materials. And I went ahead and got some acacia logs, some spruce logs, and tough logs for the trees, because trees are not perfectly brown like those. Some trees are very gray in color, and that's what we're trying to go for. At least for these trees, which are going to be pine trees. So if we just go something like this, and from afar, that kind of looks like a tree. Well, looks like a stump. Well, not a stump. It looks like the trunk of a tree. And then for the leaves, I want to go through spruce, azalea, and oak, and then some birch, just to add some variety and color. Because if I just went full spruce, the tree would look very dark, and I don't want that. We now have the new forest, and it's looking amazing. One thing I know I want to add is podzol around the trees to make it look like there's leaf litter and stuff, since we don't have that in this version. But I don't have silk touch, so we're gonna have to find a way to get silk touch. And another thing I wanted to add was more of the fossilized plants. And, ooh, this isn't supposed to be here. And we gotta also work on a way of getting more fossilized plants. I have gone ahead and made this little trading hall right here. It's not advanced, but it did help me get this pickaxe, which is Archaeology 2. But with an Archaeology 2 pick, that means that we're not getting many fossils. Because when I went resource gathering for stuff, if we look in here, this is all the stuff we have. We have 50 relic scraps. Oh, I also got these scarab gems, but I don't know what they're for. And yeah, they're just gonna stay there. I also got amber chunks. Out of all of the fossils we found, we only got 4 plant fossils. So I'm sure there's an easier way. Right now though, I want to work on this river, and it always rains. I swear, when I hit record, it rains. But yeah, I want to start with this river, and I think a good starting point would be somewhere up here. And then having it follow, you can kind of see a natural path that occurs right here. Unless it's just me seeing things, but you can kind of see it right here following this edge and then going down a layer, going like this way into here. So I want to do something with this area, and we're going to make a pond here and the river going up to it. So if we go ahead and start digging out a pond and then start digging a river around here, add some rocks. Add some coarse dirt for mud, and then we can put the water. Okay, so the river has now been in place along with the pond, but now I want to put some little details like this right here, where there's just like a puddle and stuff, but I want to do more. Over here, because this is more empty, I was thinking like right here, we can just start digging. And then similar to the edge of the river, we're going to start placing little mud spots like so. And then spotted around, we're going to add stuff like this to be mud, since mud's not in the game. And just like that, we have a little area for mud where the Triceratops can do a mud bath, kind of like rhinos do. And another thing I wanted to add, I'm thinking around here, we could build a skeleton. And if we go and just change this for coarse dirt. And I think this is a nice addition to the enclosure, because I was watching a video on Triceratops, and they theorized, just like some modern animals, the Triceratops would chew on bones to get some extra calcium. Other animals that were known for doing that would be like giraffes and mooses and deers and stuff like that for their horns. And yeah, so I think that's a fine little addition over there. So if the Triceratops ever wants to go chew on a bone, it can go over there. Obviously, I don't think the mod's gonna do that, but it's a fun little detail. We are, however, almost done with this enclosure, and all we need are some prehistoric actually, I think some palm trees would look good right there. Yeah, I like that. Okay, as I was saying, aside from obviously a door here and then maybe a viewing observatory here, I want to add some ancient plants, but we definitely don't have enough plant fossils to do that, and I don't even think this is guaranteed to give us anything. Okay, yeah, so they're not guaranteed to give you something. Dr. Bones, we need a bunch of plant fossils. What can we do? I like your thinking. I wonder if one of the locals we have here trades it. I need you in a hole. Right there. You do! Perfect! Okay, so we're just gonna buy a whole... Oh, I'm out. Grab iron from here. So I now have 24 plant fossils, and I'm curious as to what we're gonna get with these. So all the plant fossils have now been... Ooh, Sarcosuchus. So all the plant fossils have been analyzed, and we got these plants and a bunch of this junk. But that's okay. Hi. Okay. But that's okay, because we now have a way of getting more plant fossils. And we're also... we got another Triceratops DNA. Maybe we can hatch 2. Yes! We got a Triceratops egg. Now, do I have to... I don't remember, do I... Oh, I do. I have to... Oh. And just like that, we are out of biogoo. But that's okay, because we have 2 of the plants that I wanted for the enclosure. And if I remember correctly, we could just plant these. This is the Osmunda, or Osmunda. Forgive me for my pronunciation. But if we just... Yeah! Okay, and the Zamites are like palm tree looking things that we can plant. Yeah! Okay, now we need bone meal. And then we can just bone meal this around and it should grow. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I got some more bone meal, and then we just plant this and spread it out a bit. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too much. And so the reason why we have the Zamites over here and the Osmunda over here is because the Osmunda is mainly found in watery areas. And well, what better place than the river? So if we just grab some of this and start planting it along the river's edge, I feel like it would look fairly nice. I like how spread out they kind of grow when you bone meal. Okay, that's a bad example. If I bone meal this, see, they don't really... Okay, another bad example. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. But we're going to try to keep these along the edge of the river, and hopefully they start looking nice once we start adding other plants when we get them. I just remembered, I think we have another one already. And that one would be the horsetail from episode 1. This stuff would be found near river edges and stuff like that because it grows well in the wetlands. And of course... that didn't grow anything. And just like this entire enclosure, I made sure to do research on all the plants to make sure that they grew during the Cretaceous period along with the Triceratops. But now that we got some plants, we need to add a gate, the viewing area, and then we get our Triceratops. So let's get this gate and viewing area done, and we'll be right back. And just like that, we now have our front gate, which I feel like it's missing something here. If I grab some redstone, make some sticks, boom, boom. Yeah, that looks better. And then once we get like quartz and stuff, maybe I can put like an observer here and then have it like be face scan, boop, kind of thing. I mean, I doubt that's how that would work, but one could imagine. Anyways, along with our gate, we have the observation deck, and I kind of like how there's storage underneath, and I like how it's all like wood and jacky kind of looking. But when we're up here, we could see generally all of the enclosure, a good side of that side, but we can't really see that corner very well. But now that we have the gate and the observation deck, we're almost ready to hatch the Triceratops eggs. But first we need to make a feeder. So if we go ahead and just do that, we have a feeder. We can grab our melons, walk on inside, and then place our feeder probably here, because this would make it look like this is a common traffic area with this coarse dirt being here. And then we could put... Is that what we do? Oh, it is. Ooh. Whoa, that's going up quick. Okay, it's still in the red though. Okay, now it's in the yellow. I'm kind of scared on how much these animals are going to eat. Perfect! We're in the green. We're almost actually full. Neato. Okay, so now that we have that full, if we go ahead and place egg, right? And then place that one. Oh my gosh. How do you... Wait, hold on. I wonder if the Dinopedia is a way to check if the eggs are okay. Grab this. I placed the eggs, Dr. Bones. It's amazing. I'll see you later. Hopefully the eggs aren't cold and like die or something. I don't know if that's a thing, but we're about to find out. Can I poop you? Status warm. Hatch progress 50. They're halfway there. 85. They're hatching so quick. So excited. They're wiggling. They're wiggling. And they're gonna come out. They're gonna hatch. They're gonna hatch. Oh my gosh. They're so cute. Owner is Chespi Cash. We have a male and a male. Uh-oh. These are known to be territorial creatures. They're waddling. Look at them. They waddle so quick. Oh my gosh. You're so cute. You're cool colors too. You're green. Oh, this is amazing. If you guys have names for these Triceratopses, please let me know in the comments below, because we have 2 male Triceratopses. Hi, buddy. He lays down. Oh! Look at him! He's got little waddle feet. Look at that. It's like a little... Oh, this is cute. Well, with the Triceratops enclosure done, and now that we have 2 Triceratopses, I think it's safe to say this is the end of the episode. We'll try to keep up with these guys in the next episode as they grow up. Remember to leave your name suggestions in the comments below. And without further ado, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.